Let's see who else has joined us. Jason, hello. Tara, hello. Rainey, hi. It's good to see you. Hi, Rainey. Oh, good, Kurt, you found. Yeah, I'll tell you about it after class. We've still got folks joining, so we'll give it another minute or two. I think everyone that's in the Gampa was here last week, so I don't need to remind you all to pick up one of these wisdom journals, right? I think you were all here. If you didn't get one, feel free to take a copy of that. They're out on the table. There's also some Dharma items that were left over from a Dharma giveaway over the weekend, so feel free to take anything off of that table for free and give it a good home. All right, I think we'll go ahead and get started if you're ready, Robbie. Okie doke. I don't have any announcements or anything other than this is the 5th of 6 classes.
Okay, good evening, everyone. As Linda said, this is the 5th of 6 classes in the Discovering Buddhism module, Thought Transformation. And we'll begin with our prayers in the Gold Prayer Book on page 34. We'll do taking refuge and generating bodhicitta 3 times in English, followed by the 4 immeasurables, the 7-limb prayer, and the short mandala offering. The prayers are to help prepare our mind, as it's said to be similar to tilling the soil before we plant our seeds, so that we'll get the most benefit from the discussion that's to follow. And the prayers are really about setting our intention, our motivation for everything that's to follow this evening. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings be inseparable from the happiness that is free from suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment for friends and hatred for enemies. Reverently, I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind. I present clouds of every type of offering, actual and imagined. I declare all my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in the merit of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until the end of cyclic existence and turn the wheel of Dharma for living beings. I dedicate my own merits and those of all others to the great enlightenment. This ground, anointed with perfume, strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, 4 continents, the sun, and the I imagine this as a Buddha field and offer it. May all living beings enjoy this pure land. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Nirya Tayami. So now we'll do our first meditation of the evening. We begin by checking our posture. I think we're all Becoming familiar with that, our back is a little bit straighter than we normally sit, but not rigid. Our head incline may be just a couple degrees in front of the vertical, but not tilted to one side or the other. Eyes either lightly closed or very slightly open, but not enough that we actually recognize objects, but just a little bit of light comes in. Our lips lightly closed. Our jaw is not clenched. Our tongue is on the hard palate behind our upper teeth. Our shoulders are down, not scrunched up around our ears, and a little bit back so that the chest is open. Arms away from the sides of our chest, and right hand on left with our thumbs touching just slightly below the level of the navel. If we're sitting on a cushion, we're sitting towards the front of the cushion, and our legs are crossed in a position we find comfortable and stable. If we're sitting in a chair, we're not leaning back in the chair, but we're sitting straight. Our feet are on the floor or on a cushion. So scan your body, start at the top of your head, working down, and identify any sources of discomfort or tension, and address those now so they don't become an issue during the meditation to follow. And now take 3 deep breaths from the abdomen, with the stomach expanding and our diaphragm coming down during the in-breath, and the stomach contracting the spine on the out-breath. Just do that slowly 3 times. And now we allow our breath to return to its normal pattern. And we reflect on our motivation for doing this meditation and being part of the discussion tonight. And as much as possible, we generate the bodhicitta motivation, the wish to become enlightened for the benefit of all sentient beings. I am doing this meditation and studying this topic so that I can become enlightened, so that I can be of benefit to all sentient beings. And having set our motivation, we begin the actual meditation. A meditation to help us develop some concentration, a necessary tool as we start to look at our own mind and see what is there and see what we want to transform, what we would like to change. So we need to be able to concentrate. And that's difficult for most of us. So we're going to practice our concentration. We take the mind, the awareness, and place it on the physical sensation of the breath. Air moving in and out through our nostrils. Just the physical sensation of air moving over the membranes. And every time our concentration goes to another object, we set that aside and come back to the breath over and over and over again. And that's the meditation. And now we'll end that meditation with a brief dedication. We can acknowledge that by sitting and working with our mind in this way, we've done something positive that has made a positive imprint on our mental continuum. And we think, may that positive energy not be lost, but may it ripen in the future in a way that benefits all sentient beings. And you can relax your concentration. And now I would like to read together our root text, the 8 verses by Geshe-Long Rinpoche. It's in the Gold Prayer Book on page 161. And Linda's bringing it up on the screen. So read each verse and just take a pause after each verse and think a little bit about what it means. Determined to obtain the greatest possible benefit from all sentient beings who are more precious than a wish-fulfilling jewel, I shall hold them most dear at all times. When in the company of others, I shall always consider myself the lowest of all, and from the depths of my heart hold others dear and supreme. Vigilant, the moment a delusion appears in my mind, endangering myself and others, I shall confront and avert it without delay. Whenever I see beings who are wicked in nature and overwhelmed by violent negative actions and suffering, I shall hold such rare ones dear, as if I had found a precious treasure. When, out of envy, others mistreat me with abuse, insults, or the like, I shall accept defeat and offer the victory to others. When someone whom I have benefited and whom I have great hope gives me terrible harm, I shall regard that person as my holy guru. In short, both directly and indirectly, do I offer every happiness and benefit to all my mothers. I shall secretly take upon myself all their harmful actions and suffering. undefiled by the stains of the superstitions of the 8 worldly concerns, may I, by perceiving all phenomena as illusory, be released from the bondage of attachment. Okay, so let's see. First, are there any questions about anything we've talked about so far, either here in the room or someone who's on the Zoom session? You have any questions? Did you get any, Linda?
I have not.
Okay. Okay, so tonight we're going to talk about verse 7, which is one of the, all these verses are great. This one's a really neat one. In short, both directly and indirectly, do I offer every happiness and benefit to my mothers. I shall secretly take upon myself all their harmful actions and sufferings. So this is a very pithy description of a meditation practice called Tonglen, Tonglen. Sometimes it's 2 words, sometimes it's combined into 1 word, but it's Tibetan, and it's a meditation that's known as taking and giving. And it's a particular meditation that some people make this one meditation kind of the core of their spiritual practice. There have been lots of books, both by the Tibetan masters and also by Western students of Buddhism, just about this particular meditation. And it's something that people find very rewarding and very applicable to using in your day-to-day life as you go about interacting with others. So it's about taking and giving. And what we do in this meditation is that we imagine that we are taking on the sufferings of others, that we are actually taking their sufferings onto ourselves. So that's the Buddhist definition of compassion, the wish that others be free of suffering. We take their suffering and we give back in return happiness, which is the Buddhist definition of love. So we're practicing compassion and love in this meditation, taking away the suffering of others, giving back happiness. Now, of course, we're not actually doing that, okay? We can't actually take away another person's suffering. We can't actually give them happiness. What we're doing is training our mind, transforming our mind so that we aspire to do that. We develop the wish to do that. We're practicing doing that. This is developing the qualities of compassion and love that are part of becoming an enlightened being. Okay? We develop the wish to take away the suffering of others. We develop the wish to give back happiness. And see, all these, we're talking about thought transformation in this text. We're not talking about changing the external world. We're talking about changing our mind and how it perceives what's happening out there. Sometimes there's an image, you could be living in an environment where the ground is covered with broken glass and dirty needles and sharp rocks everywhere you see. So you could go around trying to pick everyone up and get rid of it, or more practically, you could get yourself a really good pair of shoes. So what we're developing here is a good set of mental shoes so that when we encounter things out there that are upsetting or confusing or irritating, we change the way that we interact with them. Okay, so we're working with our mind, which is really what all of Buddhism is. And in particular, in this one verse, we're developing our qualities of love and compassion. We're practicing them in the artificial environment of sitting here on our cushion, where we're using our ability to imagine and to visualize, and we're developing these qualities. And then when we go to work the next day, we can use this Tonglen practice as we encounter others, as we encounter people who seem weighed down by problems. We can do a little bit of Tonglen practice right there in front of them. It's not going to change them, but it will help develop our mind. When we encounter someone difficult in the grocery store, for example, we have a run-in with someone at the checkout line, we can do Tonglen with them. When we're interacting with our family members, we can do Tonglen. So this is about developing our mind so that we develop these qualities of compassion and love that are there to a small degree, but we want to expand them, to grow them, so that when we encounter difficult people or problematic people, our immediate response, not our kind of, when we start this, it's kind of forced, but our immediate response is, I wish you were happy. I wish you were free of suffering. I wish you were happy. I wish you were free of suffering. To go through with that attitude towards everyone that we interact. Okay, so this is what they're referring to when he says indirectly. Okay, now if we actually have the ability somehow to help alleviate someone's suffering, go ahead and do that. Don't just sit there and do your Tonglen practice, but actually get up and help them if you can. And that's what they're talking about when they say directly. Okay, most of the time, because of our limited perceptions, our limited understanding, we don't know what to actually do. So we're going to do it indirectly. And we're also going to do it secretly, which doesn't mean we have to lock ourselves in a closet, but we're not going to walk around carrying a sign saying, I'm doing Tonglen. I'm practicing taking away your suffering and giving you happiness, okay? It's something we're working on our own, in our own mind. And we can be doing it when we're driving. We can be doing it when we're sitting at the dinner table. We can be doing it when we're sleeping. And you know, I've found it's actually good to put little physical notes, like someplace at work, to just put a little sign that says Tonglen, just to bring it to mind, because I'm not real good at this. So, you know, little external aids like that. Okay, so that we're transforming our mind, developing qualities of compassion and love. So the actual meditation, it comes with a visualization. And when we talk about visualizing, we're just talking about our ability to imagine. It's nothing more woo-woo or more spiritual than that. Visualizing is imagining. That's a quality of our mind, an ability of our mind that we can use as part of our spiritual practice. So the traditional way that this is taught, and there are lots and lots of variants, but I'll give you the traditional way first, and then people can kind of play with that and refine it as to what works with them, is you actually visualize the person who is suffering, who is having problems, is unhappy, is physically ill, who doesn't have any money, who seems depressed or whatever, in front of you. Okay, so you actually visualize them in front of you. And you imagine that their problems, their suffering, whatever they are, and it's really, when we first start doing this, it's good to be specific. Okay, this person does not have enough money to feed her family adequately. Okay, be very specific about what suffering you're taking on. And you visualize that suffering coming from that person in the form of black smoke. So it's very sort of concrete or real. You visualize it as black smoke and you breathe that in. You breathe that black smoke in. So on the in breath, black smoke, suffering in the form of black smoke. You breathe it in, and then you visualize that that black smoke changes into a beam of light or a bolt of lightning that travels down through your chest to the level of your heart, where all your love and compassion are surrounded by this big black shell of self-concern, okay? So we're taking what that person doesn't want that is causing them a problem, comes in, it transforms into a bolt of lightning that shatters that shell, our self-regard, our self-importance, okay? And that shell is shattered, and from it comes light, comes up, and it travels up and out through our nostrils on the out breath. And that represents whatever that person needs to be happy. So you take in the suffering with the black smoke down through your chest, shatters that shell of self-concern, self-regard. Happiness in the form of light comes out, and we breathe that out, and it goes out to that person. So that's a lot to do on an in-breath and an out-breath. And some people are sitting there and trying to get this going and get very wound up rather tightly. So be gentle with yourself. You know, if you don't even want to pay attention to the actual breath, but just imagining, you know, you may want to take a couple breaths where it comes in, goes down, shatters the shell around our heart, allowing happiness in the form of light to this person who we visualize in front of us. Okay, so any questions about that visualization before we practice it? Yeah, question over here.
When you talk about the self, are you talking about the ego?
Yes, ego, self-centeredness, ego grasping, all those things that are me holding on to what I want. Yes. Yeah, shatters that ego. Okay. So actually, we're taking the person's problems and using them to shatter our own problems, because our ego, according to the Buddha, is the source of our problems, really. So it's mutually beneficial. Okay. Okay, so we're going to do a brief session of this, and I'll guide you through it. So check your posture. Set your motivation. Just a minute of concentration on the breath. And now we'll begin the visualization. And it's said when we first start to do Tonglen practice, we should start with ourself. So we're going to visualize ourself in front of us, looking back at us, either as we are now or at some point in the past when we had a particular problem or difficulty or issue that we were dealing with. So be very specific. Pick a time in your life that you had a problem, or pick a problem that you're having now. And it doesn't have to be dramatic or shattering. It can, just be a problem with sleeping or a physical ailment that you have now. Doesn't have to be a huge problem. So you visualize yourself in front of you, life size, standing in front of you. And we have visualized that ourself is giving off this problem in the form of black smoke. And we breathe that in. So just do the in-breath part of the visualization first. And now each time we breathe in the black smoke, we visualize it turning into a bolt of lightning, traveling down through our chest, splitting open the shell of ego that surrounds our heart. So just do that part. Black smoke in, lightning bolt. Always maintaining the visualization of ourself in front of us. And now each time the lightning bolt strikes that shell, we imagine a brilliant white light is released that we breathe out in the form of happiness. We can be very specific. It can be whatever we need to solve that problem. If it's a time that we didn't have enough money, we can imagine that we're giving money to ourselves. If it's a health issue, we can imagine we're giving our own good health now to ourselves at that time, or any good health we've ever had. If it's a problem with insomnia, we can imagine we're giving ourselves a good night's sleep. So try and do the whole visualization now. You may want to slow down your breath a little bit so you're not too frantic trying to keep up with it. And if your mind wanders, bring it back to the visualization. Suffering in, happiness out. Okay. Any questions or comments on that first round of Tonglen practice? Sometimes we have an aversion to taking on the suffering or the problems of others. And if we notice that's coming up, that's the ego. Okay, the ego fighting back. Okay, and this meditation is about, it's about weakening the ego. That's a big part of it. So if we feel that, that's okay. And, you know, work with that a little bit. I mean, don't push yourself to the point where you feel uncomfortable or freaked out. But if you find yourself resisting taking on suffering, that is the ego talking back. And in the same way, we shouldn't think that we're giving the point is our supply of happiness is inexhaustible for the point of this meditation. We're not going to deplete it by doing this meditation. That light is never going to burn out. And it's said that there are at least there are lots of things we can give back in happiness. It's very much, you know, what this person in front of us needs. It said we can offer our possessions. You know, when we do this meditation, we can imagining we're giving money from our retirement fund, or we're giving furniture out of our house if someone needs that. We can imagine we're giving our body. You know, if someone's unhealthy, that we're giving our health. And it said we can also imagine that we're giving away our merit, the positive karma that we've created, that we're giving that to this person if that's what they need. So we're really practicing generosity also, which is one of the perfections. So it's really a multi-pronged sort of meditation that again, we start to develop these positive qualities of mind. And like I say, it's done secretly. This is something you can do all throughout the day. There are countless opportunities. If you can, just driving, taking on the suffering of the other drivers around you is a wonderful practice. Okay. Any questions or comments?
Any questions online? Okay.
Another one over here, please.
How do we do this for everybody? If everybody's suffering,
Practice, yeah.
I mean, every person you see is suffering. So how,
Yeah.
it's just gigantic.
It's amazing, yeah. So you have to start off slow. That's why you start with ourselves. Now we're going to do another session. We're going to work with someone who's close to us. Maybe, not someone that we're tied in emotional knots with, but someone that we have favorable feelings towards. And, it's just, start off slow. Don't, eventually you go and you include people that you don't like, people who irritate you. And then when you identify, for example, a particular problem that you've had, then you imagine all the people in the world who have that problem, even though you don't even know them. So you're not having a face, but you imagine everybody who has that particular problem. You're taking their suffering on, everybody who has the same problem that you've had. And then you just expand it. Yeah. That's all I can say. Yeah. Good question, though. Any other questions? Okay. Like I said, doing this sort of visualization meditation, being specific, okay? This person, this problem, this is what they need to help with that problem, really gives it more power, okay? So if you want to stretch for a minute, and then we'll do another session. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Check your posture. Set your motivation. Concentration on the breath. And now establish a visualization. Standing in front of you is someone towards whom you feel kindly, someone you like. They're life size, three-dimensional. You can see them in front of you, about a body length in front of you. And now be very clear about a problem or a source of stress or an irritation or a difficulty this person is having. And be as specific as possible. It could be a monetary issue, a health problem, a bad relationship, anything. It doesn't have to be huge or earth-shattering. But be very specific about what the problem is. And now every time you breathe in, you imagine that you are taking that problem from that person in the form of black smoke that comes in on the in-breath. And every time you breathe in the black smoke, it turns into a bolt of lightning that travels down and shatters the shell of self-centeredness and self-grasping that encases our heart. And from that shell is released a brilliant, pure white light that we breathe out. And it is whatever this person needs to be happy, or at least to help with this problem. Could be money, good health, whatever they need. We breathe that out. We breathe in the problem and we breathe out relief from the problem. Black smoke in, brilliant clear light out. And now we visualize that other people with the same problem, they can be other people we know or even strangers, are entering the visualization. And they're standing in front of us. Maybe not a vast multitude, but maybe 3 or 4 other people are coming in. And again, we're breathing in their similar problems and giving back happiness. And so you can work with family members that way, people at work. Then you can start, as you feel comfortable, you can bring in people that you have problems with. And you can bring in people you don't even know. Like you can imagine all the people in Europe who are dying from the heat or something like that. It doesn't have to be people you know, anyone who's having problems. And this is just, again, transforming our mind to develop generosity, to cut the power of the self-centered ego and to develop our qualities for love and compassion. So the homework for this week is to finish the readings, meditate 6 times during the week, beginning each session with a reading of the root text, and then 10 minutes of Tonglen practice. And you have to do it during the day off your cushion at least twice during the day, every day during this week. It can be in any situation that you find yourself in that may be helpful. And any questions before we finish tonight?
There is one question
Okay.
on Zoom. The student asked, I feel kind of uncomfortable breathing in black smoke.
Mhm.
Any advice? And then she follows up with, is that my ego worried about the image of breathing in black smoke?
It could be. I mean, there's no, you don't, if you find that very uncomfortable, you can change it. It doesn't have to be black smoke. It could be gray smoke or haze or anything. Don't get hung up on the particular detail. That's just a traditional way it's talking or it's been taught. So you can try other things, something that represents problems for you. Some people have problems with the bolt of lightning shooting down through their chest. Sometimes they imagine that it's changed into a cleansing liquid that dissolves that shell around our heart. So it's perfectly okay to work with these images. I mean, you don't want to get too out there, but work with them in a way that you can wrap your mind around right now. Good question. Okay. And yeah, that's it. Okay, so next week is our last class. We'll talk about the verse number 8, which includes the 8 worldly concerns or the 8 worldly dharmas, which is one of these wonderful lists that we have in Tibetan Buddhism. But that's a topic you'll hear a lot about. And then we'll just kind of review. And if you have any questions about the material, bring those next week. Okay, so thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Robbie. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Robbie.
Thanks for coming, everyone.
Linda.
We'll see you next week. Drive safely. Y'all have a good night on Zoom and YouTube.
Thanks, Robbie. Thanks, Linda. Good night.
What's that, Michael?
Yes,
What'd you say?
thank you very much.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks, everyone. Bye.